Good morning, yet again, grade nines, and welcome back to the Metric Hub channel. And today we'll be focusing on economics and management science. Please do not focus on the spelling. Here it's where you put the end. Yes, but today the grade nines will be focusing on economics, management, and science, functions of the business. Yes, we'll be focusing on the functions of what the business. And this is term three's work. And without wasting any time, let's just go into it. So the first thing that we need to understand or realize is the definition of entrepreneurship, which is something that you guys did. I'm sure you did back in grade 8, but because the mind works somehow, we're gonna try and make you remember the definition of entrepreneurship. So as we move along to the definition, it says here that entrepreneurship is the process of identifying. So, in other words, you try and find out, right? So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna say number one, the process of identifying, which is finding out. All right. So that's the process of identifying the what? A need or opportunity. A need or an opportunity. So what we're basically doing is that we are finding out a need or an opportunity. Where do we find that need or opportunity? So in actual sense, what we're trying to do is to find a solution to a problem. Where are we finding this solution or problem? In the market, right? That's the first explanation of what entrepreneurship is the process, like it happens over time, of finding out or identifying a need or opportunity. So basically, you're finding a what? A solution to a problem. You are finding a solution to a what? To a problem, right? So it's the process of identifying a need or opportunity in the market. Now, this is the first definition of what an entrepreneurship or what an entrepreneur is. All right. Then we move to the second part of the definition, is that whereby an entrepreneur takes initiative. So this is where you decide to start something. You take lead, right? This is where you decide to take lead. So I'm just going to put it here. Second part of the definition, initiate, is where you take lead. When you take initiation is when you take lead. Here it is, initiative, it's when you initiate something. So the entrepreneur takes the initiative to start a business. So remember, entrepreneurship is all about starting or running of a business, right? So you start a business or a project. There's no much difference between a business or a project. It's just in terms of what you will be providing service in. That's what defines a business or a project. So it's not much of a difference, right? But anyway, so you take initiative to start a business or a project in order to satisfy which need? Remember, finding that solution. So you satisfy that solution. Remember, you saw a problem. Now you're satisfying that need, that solution, finding a solution to a problem in order to satisfy that need or solution and make what? And make profit. Guys, you should have remembered this from last year. But anyway, moving along, let's do this quickly so that we can focus on the new work. Right, please again like, share, and subscribe to the channel. First part is identifying, second, initiative. And then it says here as we move along that entrepreneurship involves coming up with new ideas. So when you start a business, you need to have new ideas on how you're going to start the business, taking calculated risks, making sure that your risks do not alter or make your business to fall apart. So making sure that you take calculated risks, even though they are risks. So for example, a calculated risk, a calculated risk would be, for instance, selling 100 cakes, which cost 1,000, right? Rather than selling 300 cakes, which also cost 1,000. But now, what you need to take into consideration is that not rather your profit, but where's that eraser? Yes, your initial income being 2,000. So now here, what you see is a risk, right? If you sell 100 cakes that cost 1,000, you might make a profit. All right. So it's easy for you to make 100 cakes, right? For 1,000. But here now, it's gonna cost you more, rather. Cost you more. Yes. Here it's gonna cost you more to make 300 cakes. So you'd rather sell 100 cakes rather than, let's say, 300 cakes will cost you, 300 cakes will cost you 2,500. Let's say, so now your initial income, meaning your starting profit, it's 2,000. Now, if you sell 100 cakes at 1,000, you might make a profit of 1,000. Let's say each cake is selling at 10 rand. But now, if you sell 300 cakes, which will cost you 2,500, that's a risk that you wouldn't be willing to take based on your initial income. So you'd rather take a calculated risk, right? Take a more fairer risk than taking the one that might break your business even before it starts. So you might make profit, but you will be losing money with this risk. So you rather take a more calculated risk. All right. So moving along as quick as possible. The third point is says an entrepreneur is the person who takes on this role of what? Of identifying a need or opportunity, starting a business or a project to satisfy that need, which is a solution to make profit. Also, this person comes up with new ideas, calculated risks. Oh, we forgot this part. Let's just quickly go. So organizing resources like money. So as we move back to here, you can see that organizing money. As an entrepreneurship, you need to know how much money you have, how much money you're going to be spending, and how much money you'll be making. So this might be your profit. This is your initial start, and this would be probably your selling prices. Ne? So you need to be able to control money. And then the people would be your workers. These would be your workers. And then the materials would be, for instance, let's say you are a bakery shop, right? Let's say you're a bakery shop, Your materials would be your bakery machines, your flour, your sugar. So those are all the things that will help you to make those cakes or the bread, right? And then managing the business to achieve the business. So all in all, you're gonna manage the money, you're gonna manage the people and the materials. So in all, it makes up a business, right? So that's the definition of entrepreneurship. So it says here an entrepreneur is the person who takes on this role, these roles. This is a whole role that if you want to become an entrepreneur, you need to follow all these steps of entrepreneurship. Okay? So it says that entrepreneurs are creative, meaning what? They come up with new ideas. So you need to remember that if you are a creative person or if you want to become an entrepreneur, you need to be creative and come up with new things that are not seen. And again, initiate, start something. Innovative, it simply means that you can change something that has been done into something new, right? So when you are being innovative, let's just put it here, innovative, it simply means that you can change an old concept into new one. So for example, we're gonna take the Nokia 3310. So if you don't know, this is an old phone. And then what did the company of Nokia do? They innovated this phone. So now they went from a Nokia 3310, which was an old phone, and they innovated it. So this is to, let's say, Nokia N4. So this would be the innovation. Simply means that they didn't change a lot of things. They just went from being old to new. So that will be the innovation. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be innovative and willing to take risks. Remember, but your risks need to be calculated. All right. And the last part is that entrepreneurs contribute to the economy by creating jobs. So obviously, when you employ people, you create jobs, offering goods and services. Obviously, when you satisfy, remember when you satisfy that need is when you are offering a good or a service. Remember, you're finding a solution to a problem. Okay? You're finding a solution to a problem. And then lastly, encouraging economic growth. So if there are more jobs and there's more money coming into the market, it simply means that the economy will grow. So basically, that's the whole definition of what an entrepreneur is and what entrepreneur, the process of being inside or being in an entrepreneurship area of some sort. Okay. So moving along, these are the key points that you need to remember as quick as possible. So number one, entrepreneurship is about starting or running a business. It's just going to put here, initiate. Number two, it includes taking risks and making decisions. So firstly, you manage the people. Let's just say managing, right? Managing and taking calculated risks. Remember, your risks need to be calculated. You need to make sure that you don't lose the business or you don't lose money while taking these certain risks or while improving the business or while innovating your product or making it new. All right. And then third part is that the keys to remember is that it requires innovation, as I said, uh, brand new, changing something from old to making it brand new, creative, just being unique. So coming up with something that nobody else has done before. And then problem solving. Remember, you need to find the what? The need. We come back here, identifying a need that needs to be satisfied. So that's the problem you'll be solving. All right. So basically, problem solving is coming up with solutions. Number four, entrepreneurs organize resources such as land Okay, these are the factors of production, right? If you remember the factors of production, uh, let's just say uh, factors of production. Remember, it's one, land, which will be your property, where your business will be situated, the area where your business will be situated. All right. And then the second one is labor, which will be your workers. These are your workers, the people that work for you. Remember, as a business, you need people who will be there to help you, not necessarily run the business, but to keep the business operational. Number three, it's capital, which can be um, capital. It can come into two forms: capital, finance, or capital resources. So this this would be your initial income. Remember, we talked about it. The initial income will be basically the money that you start the business with. And then, okay, let's just finish the whole. So this will be your initial income. All right. And then you have your capital resources. These will be the resources that will eventually make you money, such as machinery, and so forth. So they might differ from assets, but these are basically, uh, let's say, resources that contribute to a business income, right? And then the fourth and last factor of production, it's raw materials. Yes, raw materials. Um, raw materials. So basically um, so these are the initial things, rather the resources used in production. So again, remember we said, for example, we said we are a what? We are a bakery. So our raw material would be what? Our flour, our sugar, our salt, our milk, so that the final product would be what? Your cakes or your scones, right? So these are your raw materials. These are your raw material: flour, your sugar, your salt, and your milk. All right. So that's the fourth part that we need. The key points of remembering what entrepreneurship is all about. So the first one is land, labor, capital, and the raw materials. As you see there, land, labor, capital, and raw materials, right? And then we move to the fifth point, which is that the goal. So an entrepreneur's goal, an entrepreneur's goal is usually to make what? Money and upscale and grow the business. So after making money, you invest again in the business so that the business can grow. And then lastly, entrepreneurship plays a vital role in development. Again, as we remember, as we go back, we talk about what? We talk about economic growth. We talk about economic growth. So remember that Entrepreneurship is all about making money and growing businesses so that the economy at the end of the day will eventually grow. So entrepreneurship plays a vital role in developing the country and reducing unemployment. And this will be on the part of job creation. So these are the key elements of remembering what entrepreneurship is all about. So guys, also again, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends at school to tell their friends to tell their friends that we are here. Metric Hub is here to teach you and to make sure that you survive in the upcoming exams. All right. So now remember the first part. When we go back, what we need to focus on is the functions of a business. But firstly, we had to define what entrepreneurship is, right? So now, what does it mean when we talk about the functions of a business? What or how does a business operate? All right. So the functions of a business are the key operational areas. Key operational areas. So meaning how a business works. So you'll have your CEO, which is your manager. You'll have your workers, and then so in our bakery shop. So let's say for this lesson, we'll focus on a bakery shop. Let's call it Mduduzi's Bakery Shop, right? Mduduzi's Bakery Shop. So we'll focus on a bakery shop. So now, when we focus on the operational areas within our bakery shop, what are we talking about? We are talking about firstly the owner. Who owns the bakery shop? So obviously it will be Mduduzi. Mduduzi is the owner. So when they talk about functions or operational areas, all right, let's just put it in proper sense that you can understand. So when we talk about operational, okay, operational areas. We're talking about different parts of the business that operate, right? So different parts of the business. So basically these different parts, they make up the whole business, right? So remember our shop is Mduduzi's Bakery Shop. So one will have what? The owner, which is Mdu. Mdu is the owner. Number two, let's say we have a manager. So this person will basically do different duties from this person. So this person owns the business. They're responsible for a certain part of the business. The manager will ensure that the business runs on a daily basis. Number three, you'll have what? Your employees. All right. These are the ones that will make sure that on a day-to-day, the operations are being taken care of. They will rather work. And let's say, fourthly, you'll have what? Your general workers. And if it's a large business, rather, it will have your what? Your logistics. So I want you to first, before we go into the 8 functions of the business, I want you to first understand, okay, what does it mean when they talk about operational areas? We have different parts in a business. In the same business, we have different people doing, okay. No, rather, let's do this, okay? Okay, moving. Okay, we have different people doing different jobs within one business. Within Mduduzi's Bakery Shop, we have your owner, we have your manager, you have your employees, you have your general workers, and you have your logistics. These people do different jobs within one business. So that's what it means when they talk about operational areas or departments. So when we go back, the functions of a business are the key operational areas that work together. So these people need to ensure that they work together. They have different jobs, Mara. They need to make sure that each of their jobs ensures working together so that the business can succeed, so that they work together to ensure, all right, to ensure the business runs smoothly and achieves its goals. The business runs smoothly and achieves its goals. So each department needs to properly do their job so that the business can achieve what? Its goals. Again, what do they need to do for them to do their job properly? They need to satisfy consumers' needs. That's the first one. So make sure that the customer is always happy, right? Make sure that the customer is always happy. Number two, create employment. So each department, as much as it works, they need to make sure that it upscales. So the owner needs to make sure that they have enough money to create or to have more branches of the business so that they can create employment. The manager needs to make sure that each department or each branch is operational so that employment can be created. Employees needs to work to a certain point so that money can be produced. So remember, its production is equals to profit. Remember that production, or rather productivity. Let's rather say productivity, not production. Let's say productivity equals what? Equals profit. So the more these people work, the more money will be coming into the business. All right. So again, to quickly summarize, the functions of a business are the key operational areas. Different departments, remember each department doing the work, that work together to ensure that the business runs smoothly and achieves its goals, such as satisfying the consumer's needs or customer by creating employment. Remember, if those people work together, there will be more employment to be created. Generating profit. Remember, here it is. Productivity equals to what? To profit. And contributing to economic development, meaning rather to say that if, let's say, our bakery is in a disadvantaged place, so let's say we put our business in a disadvantaged place. So let's say we are in rural areas, right? How do we then improve the economy of the rural areas? Number one, we'll create employment. Number two, we'll make sure that the people save on transportation, right? Transportation. So they won't have to go to far places to get bread. And then number three, we, sorry for that, donate to the areas. So basically, that's how Ndudu's bakery shop will do what? Will be of an economic development to that particular area. So before we move into the 8 functions of the business, it said here, each function plays a specific role in supporting the business and helping the entrepreneur make informed decisions. Each function. So let's say Duduze is the entrepreneur. Before he can grow his business or before he can take those calculated risks, before he can employ more people, he needs to see which functions he can apply in his business so that he can grow. So this is where, no, previously, this is where now these 8 main functions, these 8 main functions will help. These 8 main functions will help do make what? Decisive decisions about the business. Decisive decisions about the business. So as we move back, uh, remember the definition of what an entrepreneurship is: the process of identifying a need or opportunity in the market, initiating a business or a project, and coming up with new ideas, calculated risk so that you take for your business to grow, organizing resources like money. Remember the initial amount of money that you start off in the business, the people, the workers that you work with, the materials will be your machinery. So to be able to manage this, then you become an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is basically the person who takes now this role. You are creative, you are innovative, and you are taking risks, right? So how do you contribute to the economy by growing it and rather offering goods and services and creating jobs? And these are now the key points to remember as an entrepreneur. And then now we're going to go into functions of a business. So, guys, the second part of functions of the business will come in the next video. So right now, I just wanted to understand, or how do we now get to functioning a business? How do we get to make a business function in a proper manner? We first start by defining how we are as an entrepreneur and how do we want to grow. But rather know that these functions will then make or help the entrepreneur make decisions that will then lead to a more prosperous business, right? Don't get confused into my word. Prosperous, simply meaning successful, right? So how do we then make a successful business out of ourselves? So again, guys, as I said, the second part will be coming. So stick in tune. Make sure that you watch all the videos, and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. All right. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.